Look at the phone in your hand. Put your thumb on the screen. Press it. That little click you just felt is not a button. It is a magnet, the size of a fingernail clipping, made of elements you cannot pronounce. Praseodymium, dysprosium, terbium. Less than half a gram of dirt, refined in chemistry plants you have never heard of, in a country that controls 99% of it. And that country has already decided what happens next. And it is not the country you would guess by reading the box. 91% of the world's rare earth refining happens in one country, 91. And of the heaviest elements, the ones that keep the magnet in your phone from melting at body temperature, 99. Let that sink in. In May of 2025, an entire Ford Explorer production line in Chicago shut down for a week, not because of an engine flaw, because the seat motors had no magnets. If you are watching this on a phone right now, you are part of the trap. 30 years ago, China made a decision. The West made a different one. One side built the chemistry. The other side bought the chemistry cheap and called it a bargain. We are about to find out what each decision cost. And the short answer is everything. To understand how the trap was built, you have to go back to a hot summer in 1992. Deng Xiaoping is on a tour of southern China. He stops in a city called Baotou in Inner Mongolia, a gray industrial town sitting on top of the largest rare earth deposit on the planet. And he is reported to have made a remark to the party officials traveling with him. The Middle East, he said, has oil. China has rare earths. The line has been quoted so many times since that it no longer matters whether he said it exactly that way. It matters that Beijing has been acting on it every year since. Meanwhile, 6,000 miles east, in a hole in the California desert 60 miles from Las Vegas, a mine called Mountain Pass was running the world. From the 1950s through the late 1990s, Mountain Pass was the rare earth mine. The world's televisions, the world's missiles, the world's hard drives. They all came from one pit in the Mojave, worked by 450 American miners at peak production. Then the flood arrived. Through the 1990s, China began selling rare earths into the global market at prices that made a profit mathematically impossible. It looked like cheap supply. It was a flood and kill operation. Beijing was not selling rare earths to make money. Beijing was selling rare earths to make sure nobody else could. Mountain Pass lost money for 5 straight years. In 2002, it shut down. The world's only competing mine, the mine that built the American Cold War, turned off the lights. The Mojave went quiet. Nobody in Washington blinked. There was a senator from Alaska named Lisa Murkowski who started writing op-eds in 2010, warning that the day Beijing cut off rare earths, the American defense industry would have no answer. She had testimony to back her up. Think tank analysts going in front of Congress, under oath, calling the Chinese rare earth monopoly a national security crisis waiting to detonate. They were right about every single thing they said. They were ignored for the next 14 years by people who are still in office today. And here is what nobody noticed at the time. The flood was just the warm-up act. 8 years after Mountain Pass closed, China did something the trade lawyers said it could not do. In July of 2010, 2 months before any newspaper noticed, Beijing announced a 40% cut to global rare earth exports. The justification was environmental. The reality was a knife held to the throat of every electronics company on the planet. The world had 8 weeks to figure out it had been outflanked. September 7, 2010. A Chinese trawler collides with a Japanese Coast Guard vessel near the Senkaku Islands. Within days, Chinese rare earth shipments to Japan stop. No formal embargo. Customs just slow down. Paperwork gets lost. Japan was 80% dependent on Chinese rare earths at that moment. Japanese auto and electronics production lines start running on stockpiles measured in days. That is when the world finally understood what the July export cut had been a rehearsal for. March 2012. The United States, the European Union, and Japan file a joint WTO complaint against China's export quotas. 2 years later, the WTO panel rules against China on every count. In January 2015, China formally drops the quotas. And it did not matter, not one bit. The quotas came off the books, the control stayed in place, through environmental regulations, through production caps, through the consolidation of every Chinese rare earth producer into 6 state-owned giants. China lost the lawsuit. China still ran the table. In 2010, a company called Molycorp IPOs to reopen Mountain Pass. Opening share price $14. Capital raised $400 million. By May of 2011, the stock peaks near $80, and the market cap touches $5 billion. Then Beijing floods the market a second time. Dysprosium oxide, one of the elements you cannot pronounce, one of the ones Ford needs for its wiper motors, drops from $3,400 per kilogram in 2011 to roughly $200 per kilogram by 2015. A 94% price crash, engineered in Beijing to wipe out exactly one company in California. It worked. On June 25, 2015, Molycorp files Chapter 11, $1.7 billion in debt. Mountain Pass goes quiet for the second time. A mine that was worth $5 billion in 2011 was worth $0 in 2015. Do the math. June 2017. The mine that had IPO'd at $400 million was sold for $20.5 million to a consortium with 3 members, an American hedge fund, another American hedge fund, and a Chinese partly state-owned rare earth company called Shenghe Resources Holding. The American answer to the Chinese rare earth monopoly began life partially owned by a Chinese state enterprise. Take a moment with that sentence. From 2017 through April of 2025, MP Materials mined rare earth ore in California and then shipped it to Shenghe Resources in China for processing. 80% of its revenue came from selling its rocks to the country it was supposed to be competing with. The United States had 0 processing capacity left after Molycorp, so it sold the raw material to the only buyer who could turn it into something, every year, for 8 years. The harsh reality is this. For 8 years, America's strategic answer to Chinese coercion was to sell its raw materials to its coercer. Quick question for the comments before we get to the part where the Pentagon stopped taking delivery of its own fighter jets. If you had been a U.S. Senator in 2002 watching Mountain Pass shut down, would you have voted to subsidize the only American mine, or would you have done what they did, which was nothing? Drop your answer below. Now, back to the part where it gets worse. On April 4, 2025, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce released a list. 7 elements: samarium, gadolinium, terbium, dysprosium, lutetium, scandium, yttrium. The 7 heavy rare earths the West cannot live without. As of that morning, no foreign company could buy any of them without an export license stamped in Beijing. The West had 90 days to figure out what came next. Most companies are still figuring it out. Mining a rare earth deposit is the easy part. Separating 17 chemically near-identical elements from each other requires hundreds of liquid solvent extraction stages, decades of specialized chemistry know-how, and toxic waste disposal infrastructure no Western community is willing to host. It took China 30 years to build that infrastructure. It will take the West at least a decade to rebuild even a fraction of it. China can pull the export license on a Tuesday morning. The Pentagon needs 10 years to replace it. That is not a competition. That is a stopwatch run against a calendar. There is exactly one commercial heavy rare earth separator outside of China. It is an Australian company called Lynas, processing ore at a plant in Malaysia. Lynas is doing everything right. Lynas produces roughly 10,500 tons of neodymium-praseodymium concentrate a year and about 1,500 tons of heavy rare earth oxides. Global demand is over 390,000 tons a year. Lynas is about 3% of what the world needs. The math does not close. And the math was never going to close, because 3 decades of Western governments pretended the problem did not exist while China built the other 97. July 15, 2025. Apple announces a $500 million deal with MP Materials to buy rare earth magnets from a new Texas facility. Apple is paying $500 million to fix a problem Apple helped create by spending the previous 15 years building every single iPhone with Chinese magnets while pretending it had a recycled rare earths program. The first U.S.-made magnets ship in 2027. Until then, and likely well past then, every new iPhone has a Chinese heart. July 10, 2025. The Department of Defense announces a transformational investment in MP Materials, $400 million in convertible preferred stock, making the Pentagon the largest shareholder. Another $150 million in loans for heavy rare earth separation expansion at Mountain Pass, plus a guaranteed price floor of $110 per kilogram on the magnet metal the F-35 needs. The Pentagon is now a co-owner of America's only rare earth mine. The most expensive military on the planet just bought a hedge fund's mining company because it could not buy magnets. We have entered an era where the Pentagon does industrial policy because the market refused to. Target delivery date for qualified F-35 magnets, 2027. Maybe. Here is the kicker. Outside of China, there is exactly one company on the planet capable of separating the full spectrum of rare earth elements the F-35 program needs. A Belgian chemical company called Solvay. The plant is in a small Atlantic coast French town called La Rochelle. And the reason we know it is the only one is that Solvay just restarted production this year, April of 2025. After 3 decades of Western governments pretending the problem did not exist, the only non-Chinese full-spectrum separation facility on Earth is something we are turning back on. The first dysprosium and the first terbium will not start flowing until 2026. That is not a backup plan. That is a prayer. And while the Pentagon writes checks and the senators draft press releases, the actual cost is being paid in places you can drive to, starting with a Ford plant on the south side of Chicago. May 2025. Ford Chicago Assembly Plant, Southside Chicago, UAW Local 588. The plant builds the Ford Explorer, the Lincoln Aviator, and the Police Interceptor utility, the vehicles that move the American suburb and the American police force. Production halts for 1 week. Through July, 3 weeks of paused output across multiple Ford plants. The component that broke the line was not an engine. It was not a chip. It was the high-power neodymium magnets used in windshield wipers and seat motors. Read that sentence again. The most advanced industrial economy on the planet, the country that builds the F-35, the country that put men on the moon, could not finish a Ford Explorer because the seat would not move forward and the wipers would not wipe. Jim Farley, Ford's CEO, told Bloomberg on June 13, 2025, that the company's rare earth magnet supply was being managed day to day, not month to month, not week to week, day to day. That is the operating tempo of an industry that thought it was buying cheap parts and accidentally bought a hostage situation. September 7, 2022. The Pentagon quietly halts F-35 deliveries. 8 finished F-35s, each costing roughly $80 million, sit on the tarmac, undelivered. The cause, a small magnet inside the F-35's Huni well-built turbomachine, the component that powers the engine starter, contained samarium and cobalt sourced from China. The samarium came in through a 5th-tier supplier, 5 layers deep in Lockheed Martin's supply chain. Lockheed did not know. Honeywell did not know. The Pentagon did not know. Nobody had checked, because nobody had thought to check, because for 30 years it had not mattered. On October 7, 2022, the Pentagon acquisition chief signed a national security waiver allowing deliveries to resume, with a promise that future magnets would use American materials. 3 years later, that promise is still pending. The most expensive fighter jet in history is waiting on a plant in a small French town on the Atlantic coast, the one that came back online in April of 2025 and will not produce heavy rare earths until 2026. Every solar panel, Every wind turbine, every electric vehicle, every heat pump, every piece of technology the West is betting on to escape its dependence on Russian gas and Saudi oil. Every single one of them deepens its dependence on Chinese rare earths. A single direct-drive offshore wind turbine contains up to 5 tons of rare earth magnets. A Tesla motor contains roughly 2.5 kilograms of neodymium. Global rare earth demand is projected to grow 3 to 7 times by 2040. Net zero by 2050 is not an escape from fossil fuel coercion. It is a migration from one coercion regime to another. Same basement, different cell. And here is the part that should make you sit down. Here's the twist. The thing that makes this a story you have to tell someone after the video ends. Think back to the American answer to the Chinese rare earth monopoly. Mountain Pass, the mine in the Mojave Desert that was supposed to be the West's escape hatch. For 8 years, from June of 2017 until July of 2025, the only American rare earth mine was partially owned by a Chinese state-linked enterprise called Shenghe Resources, approximately 7.7% of MP Materials, a non-voting stake, disclosed openly in SEC filings every single year. Nobody noticed. And the part nobody noticed because nobody wanted to. For those same 8 years, MP Materials shipped roughly 80% of its raw material every single year to Shenghe Resources for processing. The American answer to Chinese rare earth dominance was a mine in California whose only real customer was a state-linked Chinese company in Singapore. America's strategic counter-monopoly was, technically, a feeder operation for the monopoly it was supposed to break. 8 years, 2 presidential administrations promising critical minerals reshoring, senatorial speeches about strategic independence, and the entire time, the rocks were going on a boat to China. If you think this is over now that the Pentagon owns shares and Apple has signed a check, remember that the Texas magnets do not start shipping until 2027. Remember that the only plant outside China that can separate the heavy rare earths will not produce dysprosium or terbium until 2026. Remember that Beijing can change the export rules tomorrow morning, and the Ford plant in Chicago will go quiet again before lunch. The trap did not close in 2025. The trap was always closed. We just finally felt the click. And if you haven't seen our deep dive into how the euro was built to fail, the warning Helmut Kohl buried and the 155 German economists who got every single prediction right, check it out. Links on screen. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your prediction in the comments. Does the West reshore rare earth processing by 2030, or does the next export cut come first?